Sometimes, a presence of an actor can elevate a narrative, and this film is a prime example of that. Hello guys, I'm Nona Prince, and in the barrage of releases happening in the second week of 2024, my first film was the Malayalam film Ozler by Midhun Manuel Thomas. And I was quite surprised to see, the film first released near me, and that too with subtitles. What's happening? Are things gonna change finally in 2024? Now, I always used to think that a film should work for any audience. That should not matter, because if a film is well made, it will work for everyone. It cannot be an excuse that no, this film is made for a certain audience and other people who are out of that target group will not understand it or not get it. But over time, as I've grown, I've become more mature, hopefully, I've realized that's not the case. You can have films which are made for a particular audience. And with this film, I felt I was part of that audience because I knew the actors, I knew the background. With very teeny tiny time I've spent exploring Malayalam cinema, I felt included. So when that special cameo comes, it worked for me. But does that make the film work fully? Maybe not. I would say it's an average film, very intriguing story. Now, if you have seen this meme from Simpsons, where they are in a theater watching a film, and whenever they think the film is starting, it's actually just a logo of a film company. That meme is made for this film. Now, the film starts, with the serial killings, and it feels like a very typical serial killer film with all the tropes and cliches we have seen many times, which I also talked about in my reaction. But it's definitely engaging. You want to solve this crime. It's very well staged. You are totally into the investigation. What next? What next? But I do feel there's a lack of detailing and nuances, which, by this time I've come used to from Malayalam cinema. I've seen so many investigation thrillers and how detailed they are in their portrayal. This film, instead of that, focuses on the plot and just rushes with it. There's no time wasted. There's no time, spent not solving the case. We are on to it. And due to that, there's a lack of connection with the characters who are solving the case. Except the lead character, Ozler. And I think Jayaram really played him well. Even the backstory is very interesting. And as most serial killer films, the lead, investigation officer has some baggage. He's going through something. And the way that is portrayed by Jayaram is very well done, even with his body language. And it's very different than other portrayals, where you see the character drinking and he's very smart and, charismatic in a sense. He can just solve cases. He's a rebel. No, here it's very different. He follows rules. He doesn't wear uniform, but there's a reason for that. But he stays quiet. He's smart, he's thinking and just solving the case. There's no extra additional things added. Now, something I was not a fan of was, the acting by some supporting actors who had really small roles, and especially the dialogue delivery. It felt, like obvious things are being stated. Maybe it's because I was reading the subtitles. It works naturally if you're, listening in Malayalam. At many places, something happened and the character is just repeating the same thing. I just saw it happen. You don't have to repeat it. There were moments where the plot was forced. You want something to happen, so something illogical is happening. And the second half, it's where we shift from a serial killer story to a revenge thriller. And the case actually gets solved, and then we get into the backstory of why the killings were happening, which they spend less time on it. And in that it works, but it's very surface level. It does its job of, explaining the motivation behind the killing. And it's always the case in such films that there's a problematic nature of justifying the killings. I think that depends to person, how you want to look at it. And more importantly for this film, because the actor they casted for the role. And that leads us to the special cameo we had in the film. And when the reveal happened, there were just 20 people in my theater and they all cheered. And that presence definitely overshadowed the whole film. Maybe it was purposefully done, and I feel the actor was used very smartly. There are very few scenes, but because there's a backstory attached, you associate that character and the face of that actor with that backstory. So it works in the film's favor, that you feel more invested in it. But it's the ending that was very unexpected, because it leaves you with a lot of questions and a hint at a sequel, which is actually refreshing, which is something new, which I have not seen in a film like this. And I'm excited to see where this story leads to. Now, is it the best Malayalam film of the year? I don't think so. Is the best investigation thriller I've seen? I don't think so. Will you have a good time in the theater watching this? I think so. Now, to talk something spoilery, so if you have seen the film, then only continue watching. Spoiler warning. That cameo was, of course, Mammootty. I think it's out. I'm just trying to not say it. Don't want to spoil it for someone who has not, seen the trailer or something. That entrance was epic, I have to say. What a year Mammootty is having. And even the ending, the hint that he will return, their path will cross. So that's exciting. I really wonder if his character has something to do with, Ozler's family. Did he do something? Because it's all of it happens 3 years ago in the same timeline. So I feels there's some connection there. And you have casted Arjun Ashokan, not just for a small role like that. It has to come into play. And there were so many known actors were casted in this film, like for us, even for small role. But to pitch Jagadish against Mammootty, and I know their history and they have worked together so many times. I think CBIF his film is the one very famous with them, and them against each other and all of that. Like I could understand there's a history and it really works well in the movie. Let me know your theories in the comments. But here you can check out another Mammootty film which I absolutely loved, Cardal, The Code. What a film, what a performance. Check it out. And I will see you next time with all the reviews for the other releases happening this week. Too many.